something a little bit different this morning. We're going to see how much it costs to make a loaf of bread, and by that I mean what's the cheapest you can make a loaf of bread out in the UK for. So people have asked this question before, like, what does it cost to make a loaf of sourdough bread? So I've got a bag of just plain flour. So this is 10% protein, and it's about 76 pence a bag, so it works out 26 pence a loaf to make. So 26 pence, we'll see what happens there. Hopefully we've got a beautiful loaf of bread for 26 pence. So it's a good comparison. It says it's made for pastry and sauces, so it's a low protein flour, but let's see what happens then. So I'll go through the process and show you. I'll make a couple of tweaks based on my knowledge that it's 10% protein, so things are going to be a little bit different. So here we go. So take my bowl, I'm going to put 150 grams of beautiful starter in there. So that's bubbling away from last night. Switch on my scales on here. Okay, that's great. So 150 grams of beautiful starter. Well, I've gone over that, way over that now, okay. If you go over it, doesn't matter too much, I guess, really. Okay, right. Okay, that's great. So there's my starter in there. Now I'm going to zero that and put in 420 grams of filtered water in there. I'm putting a bit less water in it than I would do normally because I know it's a lower protein flour and it's not going to be able to absorb as much water. But I can adjust it. We can add a little bit more to it as we go on here. Okay, that's great on there. But again, I've actually gone a little bit over on there, so I'll just tip a little bit away. Okay, 450. Tip more away on there. Okay, there you go. So we're the right amount there. So mix that up there with a spoon, and just to kind of amalgamate the starter and the water. Don't want to be too exact with this, really just kind of make it so that it starts to dissolve in there. It's a bit easier. Okay, that looks pretty good. So it's pretty well dissolved in there. I'll zero the scales. Now I'm going to put 600 grams in of our plain flour. Let's see what happens then. You kind of, the feel may be different because the protein level is different on here. Maybe a different feel to it. So 320. There you go, slightly over there, just keep a little bit out of that on there. Like on 610. I'll try and keep it as exact as I can here. For this is kind of a little bit of an experiment in a way to see what happens, and hopefully we'll get a beautiful loaf. There you go, okay, that's 600 on the money. So just mix it up now. Get that out of the way. Just mix this up. And I will start to kind of see, if you made bread a lot, you'll see if there's much of a difference. You'll start to kind of get a feel for the texture of it. And that's it. So that actually feels like a lot wetter than it would do normally. So we've gone slightly over on our 420 of water, but we should just kind of let that sit now for a while and see what happens really. I'm going to come back to this. So the process is pretty standard here really, kind of for doing this. There'll be a few little tweaks through it to kind of allow for the flour type. But it's really interesting to see, you know, what we can get for 26 pence. Can we make a beautiful loaf of bread? Okay, so we'll come back to that in about half an hour's time and go through the next stage. So see you in a wee bit. Okay, so that's been about half an hour now, and I'll just kind of open it all up there. See, it's relaxed down. So we're going to add in now 12 grams of salt. So, which is about 2% of the mix. Most people like it about that level. So go for that and increase it or decrease it as you like. So let's have a little feel of this now. So I'm mixing the salt with the spoon. See, this is a lot wetter than probably I would have expected it to be with the higher protein flour. So just give that a mix around in here. Just get the salt through. And we're going to do now one stretch and fold now in here. So that's kind of mixed through pretty well. So again, first thing on there is like wet your hands. The most important thing about handling dough is to wet your hands first. So wet hands in here, lift it up from the base like this, and then under its own weight, let it fall down. Actually, no, it's not feeling too bad. It's a little bit stickier than normal. Be careful how long you leave your hand on it for it will stick to it. But actually, that's not bad. Again, I'll wet my hand again on here. So now we're kind of building a little bit of dough strength in here really at the moment. We're doing this. That's great. So that's great. Really, all you need to do is 4 of those. I'm just kind of interesting for me to kind of see how it feels differently to a higher protein flour. So we go. Leave that now in the bowl for another half an hour and come back to it and do the same thing I just did then 4 times, every half an hour intervals, and then we leave it to prove for like maybe 4 or 5 hours in this temperature. Anyway, come back to you again in half an hour's time. Catch you in a bit. Okay, so that's been another half an hour now. So let's see what we've got. So it's kind of relaxed down and flattened out. That's all good. So again, let's go and wet our hands. So this is stretch and fold number 2. Now I'd recommend doing 3 or 4, but if you're really, really busy, you've only got time to do 2, then, you know, hey, just let it happen. You know, you'll get a beautiful loaf. Anyway, I mean, we'll see with this one. This is the first time I've done it with the low protein flourless, so you know we don't know what's going to happen here, but you know, in theory we'll get something. So just ease it off from the side of the bowl, wet hands again, and then pick it up and just stretch it down like that. Actually, it's feeling pretty good now. It's a pretty wet mix though, because of the low protein, but I think we're going to get quite a well. It feels fine. What we'll do actually right now, just to check things out as well, we'll do a quick window pane test to see what the strength of it is. So if you just kind of take a corner here with wet hands again, just pull it out and see, you see it's actually not bad how transparent that is. So that's actually, already that's got actually some quite good dough strength to it. In fact, that's actually very good. So the signs are good really, that we're going to have a loaf that's actually going to not be like a brick for 26 pence. I mean, it could be a fantastic loaf. This could be a whole new revelation really, that you don't need the higher protein flour. Look at that. Okay, so I'll leave that now for another half an hour. By the way, just need to do that. I did that kind of quite a few times then, but 4 times is enough really, or 5 times is enough. I'm just kind of, for me it's interesting to kind of get an idea of how it feels really, because it's a slightly different texture to it. Anyway, we'll come back to the end of half an hour's time, do another set of stretch and folds. So see you again in a bit. Okay, so third set of stretch and folds. So good. Start again. Okay, so here we are again. So this is the third set of stretch and fold. So see, we've like relaxed down there. It's looking good. Nice kind of sheen to it. So that's kind of a nice look. You're gonna wet the hands, and we just have do a set of stretch and folds. So again, release it from the sides like this, and then pick it up from the middle and stretch it over. Middle and stretch it over. If you feel it sticking at any time, then just wet your hands again. This is definitely a stickier dough than I'd say a higher protein flour would give you, but it's feeling very smooth and silky. That's it. So stretch and folds done. Now you can do, if you want to, you can now do 1 more of these. You know, that's going to give you the extra, just like bit of strength in there. Or you could say, hey, that's enough for me now. Leave that now for 4 or 5 hours. Just give it kind of a prod test in and see if it's finished proving, and then put it in the fridge and away you go. So I'll come back to this again in half an hour's time, doing the stretch and fold, and then we'll just leave it there for 4 or 5 hours. So anyway, I'll come back to half an hour and we'll see how we're going. Okay, we are back again. So this is now 4th set of stretch and folds. So again, it's relaxed down. Quick stretch and fold here now, have a look. And wet the hands, release it from the side of the bowl here, like that. And then pick it up and stretch it over. Around, stretch it over like that. There you go, so that's looking really good. Well, it's feeling very different actually, feeling very silky compared to what I'm used to. I mean, we normally have kind of make wholemeal loaves or rye loaves, so this is quite a big departure making this, but you know, it's 26 pence a loaf, so really that's amazing value for a really healthy loaf of bread with 3 ingredients, which is like flour, water and salt. So there you go. That's looking great. We'll just do a quick little window pane test on here as well. I'm sure it's going to be fine because we had a look earlier. So stretch that out on here. It's really great. So like, it's really good. You can see your finger through. So I'm pleased with that. That's really good. Okay, well, I'll leave that now for probably about 4 or 5 hours. Then we're just going to do the prod test on here, see if it's finished. And then, well, in fact, we can do it now. I'm just going to show you quickly. Obviously, this is nowhere near ready at the moment. There's no dough strength in here. Well, there's a limited amount of dough strength in here. So pressure it in. See how it springs straight back on there. So obviously, this is nowhere near ready to use. But 4 or 5, maybe 6, I'd say probably 5 hours time. This should be great, good to go. So see you back in about 4, 5, 6 hours time, and we'll shape it and get it ready to put in the basket and then put it in the fridge. So I'll show you a bit of the process. So see you in a wee bit. Well, that's great. That's been about 5.5 hours now, and it's looking good. So double in size, lovely and bubbly, quite wobbly. So probably looks a little bit looser than I would kind of normally expect it to be, but here you go. Got the bannock on here to put it into. Got our rice flour, really important this, to line the bannock on with. So first of all, let's get plenty on here. So give it a really good dusting of rice flour. This looks pretty loose in here, so I think we're going to be kind of, I probably should have gone for like 400 grams of water rather than 420. So it's good to know for next time really that put a little bit less water in because it's got the kind of the lower protein. Okay, so wet the hands first of all. And then release it from the bowl. Looking really great there. Looking really good. Here. And then onto the surface. Beautiful. Looking good. There. And we're going to kind of quite quickly in here, and then hands. Bring it into the middle here. Bring it into there. Bring it into here. Bring it into there. And then I'm going to roll that round now onto the flour. In and like that, and then into the bannock. There you go. So this is obviously a lot looser than I think we expect it to be. So there we go. We're going to give that a dusting over, and then put that into the fridge. So there you go. To the fridge, and then tomorrow morning we will go through and put that in the oven. So there you go. So I'll put a dusting now of rice flour around the outside. Make sure it's not sticky. If it's sticking you on the thing, just kind of put a little bit of rice flour like this around it. Like that on there. Plenty of rice flour. Yeah, and this is much, much better than I expected it to be, but that's a kind of a learning process when you're doing something new like this. Oops, okay. Beautiful. That'd be great. So now I've got the cover to put on. Put the cover on here now. Then into the fridge. So I'll put this in the fridge overnight. In the morning we'll bring it out and we will bake it. So there you go. So here we go. So hopefully this is going to come out okay. You know, it's really quite a wet mix, so I'd use less water next time, a lower hydration. So anyway, let's see how we go. 26p loaf coming up. So I had the oven on really hot to get everything warmed up. So lid off first. Bit of semolina flour on there. Something sticking. Now the moment of truth. Here we go. Will it come out of the mold okay? Beautiful. Okay, that's great. Pleased with that. Quick slash on here. Ice cubes in. Lid on. In the oven, and hopefully now. So that's been about 20 minutes now, so let's have a look and see what we've got. And here we are, the grand reveal, the 26p loaf of sourdough. And oh, interesting, it's done something there. In fact, I'm going to actually put that on a bit longer. I reckon that could still rise a bit more, so put this back in there for another 5 minutes. Right, here we go. So this is our 26p sourdough loaf. And let's see what we've got. Well, that's not bad. That's not bad. It hasn't kind of risen that well, but it's very kind of wet, maybe the dough. But it's going to make a nice loaf of bread, really, you know. We'd hope to kind of come to here some normally, but, you know, I'm kind of happy that's looking good. So I'll put it back in the oven again for another 20 minutes. There we go. So that's not bad, really, you know, for a loaf of bread. It looks as though it's risen. So there's some kind of rise in here. So it's lifted up okay. I'm normally expected to be kind of this kind of a size. So it's not lifted as much as you would do normally, not got the same oven spring as you'd normally expect. But I think it'll be a nice loaf of bread. So I'll put it on the rack, let it cool down. So I might make this again. If people are interested, then, you know, please subscribe and I'll try this again, but with a lower hydration. I think we were too high, the mix was too wet, really. So that's why it's not risen up enough. So you only kind of do that by experimenting. So if people are interested, I'll make another loaf with a lower hydration, use the same flour, and I reckon we can get a really good loaf from that. Probably, you know, a much better rise. So thanks for watching. I'll kind of come back in a wee bit and we'll cut into it once it's cooled down, have a look inside. But looking at it, I'd say it's nice and crunchy, feels right. And I think that'll be reasonably light inside as well. So that'll make, you know, imagine, you know, if you're having that with some soup or toast or in the morning for breakfast, I mean, sandwiches, be beautiful. So I'm pleased the first run of making some bread from really, you know, low protein but very cheap flour. 26p loaf made with plain flour. So let's cut it open and see what we've got. Nice and crunchy inside. One cut on here. And look at that. That's really beautiful. That's your 26p loaf. Could do with more lift on there. I think if I did it again, I would probably use less water in there. But yeah, what an amazing loaf, you know. So if you like this, you know, subscribe, like the channel, and if you're really interested, I'll do it again with a lower hydration and see if we can get more rise. But there we go, 26p loaf. Right, here we go. So that's been 25 minutes now. So I'll just get it out of the oven and see what we've got. This is the moment of truth. How was it risen on a 26p loaf? Let's see what we got. Well, that's done really well. Pleased with that. Good lift on there, really nice. So I'll put it back in the oven again now, down to 220, a little bit cooler, and let it carry on cooking. So great, look at that. Okay, great, so that's been another 20 minutes then. Let's have a look and see what we've got on a 26p loaf. Well, there we go. So not bad at all, you know. Nice and crispy on top. It's not risen, probably isn't about an inch less probably than you get normally for oven spring. I think that'll be a nice loaf. It looks as though it's aerated well, slightly flat on the bottom, but you know, 26p, that's not a bad loaf of bread really, and that should taste really nice. So it's a success. I think next time again, if I was doing this, I would reduce the amount of water in there, reduce the hydration level. But all in all, yeah, that looks like that'll be a nice loaf of bread and that'll be tasty. So 26p, bang, there you go. Beautiful loaf of bread. Thanks for watching, and anything else you think would be interesting to kind of test out or try, send me a message there, a comment, and I'll look into it and see if people are interested in doing that. So again, thanks for watching. There you go, 26p loaf of bread. Right, and now the moment of truth. Let's cut into the loaf. Nice and crispy, should be lovely. Let's look inside. What have we got in here? Looks great. So there you go, that's your 26p loaf of bread. Delicious. Well, enjoy, and I think definitely improvements I can make on that. If I was making it again, I'd do a lower hydration, probably a little bit more proving time on there, but you know, it's a pretty good loaf for 26p. If you want me to do any more loaves like this, let me know and we'll give them a go. So thanks for watching and enjoy.